All right, let's jump right in. We're going to explore a really fascinating and honestly pretty sobering idea today. We're going to look at how the story of a nation, one with unbelievable wealth, can actually hold some powerful, maybe even critical lessons for our own professional lives.
Let's start with just one number, a huge one, 303 billion barrels. Just try to picture that. That's the size of Venezuela's proven oil reserves, the largest on the entire planet. We're talking about an almost unimaginable amount of natural wealth and raw strength. And yet, as we've all seen, all of that wealth, all that potential power, it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to stop a catastrophic national crisis. It couldn't even protect its own sovereignty. So that leads us to the big, crucial question, right? Why?
And this right here, this quote, this is really the core idea from our source material today. It just sums it all up perfectly. Having tremendous strengths, raw talent, raw resources, it means nothing if you don't have the policies and the strategies to actually protect and use them. Basically, without a strategy, all that strength is just vulnerable.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, what does the fate of a nation have to do with my 9 to 5? Well, it turns out it's an almost perfect analogy for us, for the modern professional. So let's really dig into this idea of having strength but no strategy.
And this is where we hit a really interesting paradox, the paradox of potential. It's this idea that the very thing that should be your greatest source of power, your incredible talent, your deep expertise, can actually become your biggest liability if you don't have the right framework around it.
This chart really lays out the parallels perfectly, doesn't it? Just think about it. A nation's oil reserves, that's your core skills. The national infrastructure, that's all your credentials and your hard-won experience. And maybe most importantly, a nation's sovereignty? Well, that's your professional reputation. It's your ability to act on your own terms and be respected for it.
So how does a strength actually become a liability? I mean, it sounds crazy, right? But think about it. You've probably seen that person who's so good at one specific thing that the company can't afford to promote them. They get trapped by their own talent. Or, that brilliant performer who just doesn't get the office politics and gets totally sidelined. Their raw skill, their strength, actually becomes what holds them back.
All right, so if our greatest strengths can also be our biggest weaknesses, what do we do about it? How do we protect ourselves? Well, the answer is to create a set of personal policies. Think of it like a strategic framework for your career, just like a country has a framework to govern itself.
Okay, policy number 1, a diversification strategy. Look at Venezuela. Its economy was almost completely dependent on oil. So when that one pillar got hit, the entire structure started to crumble. The lesson for us? Avoid over-specializing. You just can't be a one-trick pony anymore. You've got to develop multiple skills, build different kinds of networks, and create more than one way to provide value.
Next up, policy number 2, strategic alliances. When things went south, Venezuela's international isolation meant it had no powerful friends to call for help. In your career, it's the same deal. Your relationships are like currency. And I'm not just talking about being friendly at the coffee machine. Building real, genuine partnerships across your company and even your industry, it's a strategic necessity. It's where support, inside info, and new opportunities come from. All right, number 3, adaptive governance. The leadership in Venezuela just clung to old ways of doing things while the world was changing fast, and we can fall into the exact same trap. Seriously, the strategies that made you successful 5 years ago could be completely useless today. You have to embrace continuous learning and be ready to change your own personal game plan.
Policy number 4 is all about reputation management. Think about it. A nation standing on the world stage is everything. For you, your professional reputation is your standing. It's your personal sovereignty. And here's the key. It's not a passive thing that just happens. You have to actively manage it. You have to protect it fiercely. And you do that through being consistent, being reliable, and communicating clearly and authentically.
And the last policy, number 5, is resource development. This one is so important. Venezuela had all that oil, right? 303 billion barrels. But the infrastructure needed to actually get it out of the ground was falling apart. So the resource was just theoretical. It wasn't practical. And it is the exact same thing with our skills. That certificate you got 10 years ago, that programming language you haven't used in 5, it's just unrealized potential. It's not actual value until you invest in it and keep it modern.
So all of this, it brings us to one of the biggest mental traps that we can fall into. It's what we can call the illusion of immunity.
It's that quiet little voice in your head that tells you your past successes or how good you are right now makes you safe from future problems. And let me tell you, that is a dangerous, dangerous assumption to make.
I mean, how many times have we heard this one or maybe even thought it ourselves? I'm the only one who knows this system. It feels like job security, right? But it's a classic trap. Being a single point of failure makes you valuable, sure, but it also paints a giant target on your back for being replaced by a better, more stable system.
Oh, and here's another one we all love to lean on. My performance reviews are always excellent. And look, that's great, but those reviews are a snapshot of the past. They are not a shield for the future. They won't protect you when the company restructures or a new boss comes in with a totally different agenda.
And then, of course, the big one, tenure. I've been here for 15 years, and loyalty is a great thing. It really is. But let's be crystal clear. Tenure is not a strategy. In the world we live in now, just being there a long time without constantly adapting and thinking strategically, it just doesn't mean what it used to.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem, we've talked about the policies we need, so now what? Let's put it all together into a real, actionable framework. Let's talk about how to achieve what the source material calls professional sovereignty, which is really about taking true, active control of your career's future.
So here's a practical framework to make this real. First, you've got to document and communicate your value. Don't ever assume people just know what you do. Second, invest in political capital. That means really understanding how decisions get made. Third, and this is huge, always maintain external options. Know what you're worth on the open market. Fourth, share your knowledge strategically. It shows leadership. And last, have a plan. Develop your own personal crisis protocols for when, not if, things go sideways.
And really, this is the ultimate takeaway. It all boils down to this. Resources alone are not power. It's the strategic capacity that creates power. Think about it. Your skills, your talent, those are your reserves of oil in the ground. They're just sitting there. But it's your strategy, your ability to protect them, to use them, to leverage them, that turns that potential into real, lasting power.
So I want to leave you with a question to really think about, and be honest with yourself. Beyond just being good at the tasks you're given, what is your strategic framework? What are your personal policies for diversification, for building alliances, for adapting to change? Because at the end of the day, your career security, your ability to move up, your professional sovereignty, none of it depends on how much raw talent you have. It depends 100% on the strategy you build to protect and use that talent. That is the hard lesson here, and it's a lesson that, frankly, we should all take to heart.